Coach Hesser told me to tell you hi, Coach.
Great.
He's down at Barton today.
Great. Thanks. Yeah.
Jingle.
We good? Everybody? We got it. Okay, practice has been good. Camp's been good. I like the team. I like the way they work. I like the way the coaches are competing against each other. The offense, defense, special teams competing against each other, but they're getting along. Coach Chiswick and Coach Longo are doing a tremendous job of trying to give the other side what they want. One of the problems in early camp is you don't have game plans. So if you're not careful, you just work on stuff against stuff, and then you've got to start saying, with the second team defense, I need this for the offense to see, because we're going to have to see this in the first 3 weeks before our open date, or same with a defense. Coach Chiswick may want some specific plays that are quarterback runs that we've got to do. The hardest thing for a head coach this time of the year is making decisions on camp. How long do you practice? How many days do you go in a row? Because you never go 3 days in a row except for more than 3 days in a row except for camp. That's why people get more people hurt in camp than any other time. So how hard do you push them? When do you push them? You got to push them enough to get them in shape in the heat. You got to get them inside enough to let them cool down. You've got to hit enough to learn to play the game, because we got such an inexperienced team. You don't want to get them hurt. We get Antoine Green hurt on Saturday. It was a hitch, and he turned inside, and he got hit just running. And linebacker hits him, and he gets hurt. So now he's out for 6 to 10 weeks. Hopefully on the 6th side of that, we're 20 days from game time, he'll be back by Notre Dame. So we've got to pick him up. We've told them you can't help what happens to you. Your attitude is what you can do with what happens to you to get better and get back. He had his operation yesterday. He was in team meeting this morning. That's the kind of attitude he's got. You love the young guy. He's had some bad luck here, so hopefully he'll get some positive things to still happen throughout the season. Jeremy wrote a few things down he thought you'd want to hear. Scrimmage recap was really good. We had a lot of competition. We had about 100 plays in the heat, in the turf. We pushed a lot of guys, and what we've done is, and it's one reason we don't want you out here yet, we are the guy that plays the best is moving up and the other one's moving down. So we've got a lot of unsettled questions right now about who's going to play. And we're trying to find the guys that play hard every day. Can't say I had a bad day, then you lose the game. Can't say my bad. We know it's your bad. So play, and play every day. So, but the scrimmage was good. That's the only 3 guys right now that wouldn't be ready to play for fall would be Jaleel Taylor, Jaquarius Conley, and Antoine Green. Everybody else is still on schedule to be able to play in the opening ball game. Quarterback battle's what it is. I mean, they're still competing at a high level. They're still getting along. Connor Harrell still makes plays. He had a couple of deep balls today. So we like the guys, the 3 that are competing right now for a starting spot. And really the 2 are competing for a starting spot, and we're just trying to get Connor to get better as we move forward. Same thing with running back competition. Both George Pettaway and Omarion Hampton look really good on Saturday. So we got to figure out who can stay healthy in that group. We've got to figure out with those young guys, adding Dre Green to it. He needs to step up now that Antoine's out. So we've also got to adjust the offense to make sure that we're simple enough for those guys to be able to play and play free and not get you beat because they don't know what to do, or they run the wrong way, or get somebody hit. So all those are decisions that we're trying to make right now, trying to figure out both lines of scrimmage. How many offensive linemen can we actually play with? You got a lot of defensive linemen. How do you roll those guys and not just have them rolling in and out and nobody gets to play? Who are your best pass rushers? I've got a statement for the coaches today. Who are your best players and why? In passing situations, give me the 4 best pass rushers. And I've got in my mind who they are. I want them to tell me who they think they are. And then I want them to back it up with video. But today we're working really hard on things we haven't done well. We had a 3rd down scrimmage today. And that's all we did, situations for 3rd down. We had another game scrimmage where we just played it. We put it down and play it. We go about 4 to 6 plays, and also Coach Chiswick hadn't called defenses for 5 years, so he needs to be doing that. We're tweaking some things on offense, so Coach Longo needs to be doing the same thing. And then we're having 1 minute every day because we need to get better in 1 minute, and especially with young quarterbacks. So I like the team. I like where we are. We got a lot of things we've got to fix. Defense only had 1 penalty on Saturday. We had a full ACC crew. Offense had too many penalties, but one guy had 2 penalties and another guy had 3 penalties. So we slid them down the depth chart and told them, you played hard, but you didn't play good. We're not having penalties anymore. So we're not going to put up with that many penalties per game. So we're working really, really hard in leadership and toughness and accountability and playing the game. And the problem we've got, we're thin in a few areas. We got to play the game and still stay healthy enough to play on Saturdays. But we've got to hit. We can't do it. And with Antoine's hit, it would have been the same in Thud. He was just running, got hit standing up. So the tackle didn't make any difference with him. Questions?
Any more clarity on the quarterback situation? And do you maybe have a little bit better vision on when that decision could be made?
We're hoping we make it on Sunday before the first game and tell you on Monday at the press conference is what we're hoping, but it still has not separated enough for us to make that decision. And we want to work. You know, we want to make sure that we're using the strengths of both quarterbacks to let them have a chance to win the battle. And then at some point we got to hone the offense down and just get it down to the simple things that both do best together. But I'm really not worried about that position because, like we've said, they're both good. And every day you come out here, you say, could I start him? Yeah. Could I start him? Yeah. And everybody likes to pick a favorite. We haven't done that yet.
So what will be the differentiating factor when you pick? What's it going to come down to in your mind?
It sounds like a smart aleck answer, but who moves the ball and who scores? And we grade them every day. In fact, Phil did a really smart thing Saturday. He had them grade themselves. So they graded themselves, and then he graded them, and they sat down individually and went over both of those. Well, why did you think you graded this? And why did you think you graded this? And tell me the difference in the two. So it was really cool and a smart thing to do. But it'll be who's going to protect the ball. It's going to be who's going to get the ball out of their hands fast, because we're not going to go through sacks like we did last year. It's going to be who can convert on 3rd and 4th down, who runs well enough to make plays, and who's got the poise and leadership to carry the team to the end zone.
Max, you're simplifying the offense. Is that for the quarterback's benefit of not having Antoine Green, or because the wide receiving core is so young now?
Yeah, simplifying is probably the wrong term. We're looking at what we need to do to be able to play the best players. And to do that, maybe you take some concepts out that they're not ready for yet. And you've got 2 young quarterbacks, and they have been out there in games, and they both played under pressure. And it was Wofford, but it was still people in the seats, and people played. They played in the spring game. But you want everybody to be able to think. And we've told them we're going back to a mentality. What can we do to eliminate tackles for loss? What can we do to eliminate sacks? And then we've got to be able to handle the penalties. So we're starting from a mindset every pass, how well can this be protected? And if we got a guy who can't protect, then we're either not going to throw that pass or we're going to change the protection. So that's what I mean. We're being more detailed in little bitty things that need to be fixed, because we've had some of those problems for 3 years, and we shouldn't have had them for 3.
To clarify, when you were talking about like 3rd downs, for example, things you weren't doing as well, is that the thing that stands out the most? Or is it just a list of things and not necessarily one more than the other right now?
It's a list of things that I put together over 3 years, but I thought last year were exceptionally bad. Red zone on both sides of the ball. Lower red zone on both sides of the ball. 3rd downs. Analytics wants you to go for 3rd and short and 4th and short. Well, if you're not making them, you can't do it. So I want to get so we can make them, and I want to have a better plan, and I want to know exactly what we're doing on those downs, and we work on them every day. So I see it out here before I have to hope it works in the game. and I want every group to do it that's got a chance to be in the game. Turnovers, in studying all of this, you get more turnovers when you're ahead and the other team has to throw it, or on long yardage situations, second long and third long. So you got to win first down to get turnovers on second and third, because usually they're going to use manageable plays on second and 4, third and 3. But if you're behind, you're going to be throwing it more, so your protection's harder. We know you're throwing it. We've got our best protectors, our pass rushers in the game, and you can force more turnovers. So we're just looking at every little detail and making sure that not only our coaches are aware of where we are. I took every loss last year, and we have a little, what do we call them? Keys to victory. We have a little keys to victory, and they were so similar in the losses. You didn't run the ball well. You had too many sacks. You had too many penalties. You didn't win the turnover battle. I mean, this game is not complicated. People are complicated. Football's simple. And we've got to get the simple football game to make more sense to the complicated people.
Mack, when you talk about Phil having the quarterbacks grade themselves, I take it that was an idea that you liked, and is that, I don't know, a concept you've ever run across before? Is that sort of a fresh idea?
We've done it. I don't like grading kids and giving them the grade, because sometimes your best player may not grade as good, but he makes more plays. So you got to be careful with those grades. If I was going to take Javonte Williams out because he had 3 mistakes and the other guy didn't have any mistakes but didn't make any yards, I'd say I'm stupid for grading. But I do think the concept of getting them to tell you what they see and getting them to understand, here's what I did well and here's what I need to do better. Those are hard concepts. Self-evaluation is one thing that football teaches kids. And it's a hard thing for all of us. Nobody likes criticism. Nobody likes to be told you didn't do that right. So we really work with them so they understand, here are positive things I've got, and here's concerns you need to get fixed if you're going to play. Adam, we actually have our coaches give every player 3 to 5 things at their position that you need to be able to do before you can play. And then that's an easy gradable scenario, because you can say you did these 3, but you know what? You didn't do these 2. You got to get better at these 2 before you play. And we said today, you want to play pro ball? A pro scout comes out here and we don't tell him who you are, and he's looking around and he can't find you, you're not going to play. You better be a special player if you want to play, if you want to get awards, and if you want to play in the NFL. And you got to do it every day.
Mack, you mentioned the position battles. I'm just curious from a big picture perspective. Are you far enough along in the program building process where you have adequate talent and therefore competition at pretty much every position group?
Yes, we are. We're thin at receiver because we had 5 leave, I think, or graduate, or Tylee gets sick, and then Antoine gets hurt. So you have to be really, really careful, because normally in camp, if the position that gets thin, you're still running them all, and then more get hurt because you don't have as many. So we've got to make sure we work there. Maybe work more 2 tight ends, since Bryson can play both. And we're thin at linebacker because we only have 5 scholarship linebackers, and only 2 have really played. And Power played 100 plays. Sed played a whole lot. He played 900. But then Ra and Sebastian Cheeks, they need to come on. Sebastian's a true freshman, and then you've got Deuce Caldwell, who's been here for 8 practices. So we're not as far along in a couple of those areas as we'd like to be, but we feel like we've got good enough players. What we got to do is be smart and make sure that we coach them the right way.
Matt, you kind of alluded to this before, but you've spoken highly of the leadership so far. How has that manifested itself on the practice field?
I really like the leadership so far. We haven't played, but every day in the spring they practiced hard, and that wasn't the case last year. It was the previous 2 years, or really the second year was the best. The first year we were up and down some, and they've competed the 8 practices we've had, and they're not pouting, they're not griping, they're competing, and I really like that. And we've said how lucky for a Josh Downs to get to go against a Tony Grimes every day. How lucky for both those kids. They're playing against 2 great players. So if you compete with the best we've got every day, then you should not be anxious in the game. you've already competed against a really good or better player than you're going to play against on Saturday, so it should help you get better. Same thing with pass rush. We've asked our guys, find the best player we've got to go against. And you may lose, but you're learning to win. And that's something that's really helping us with the progress of the program, getting more players. We've got more pass rushers. We've got more legs to stay fresh. So all that happens through recruiting through year 4. Last year's recruiting class was as good as we thought it was. As we start to look at it, it's really good. They're as good as anybody's.
In what ways have you seen the defense? Communication seemed to be kind of a problem at times last year. In what ways have you seen them get better in that area and maybe play more instinctively?
Last couple of years, we've had some just bust. And we're not saying bust now. You can tell who's supposed to be there. I'd get mad sometimes and say, could somebody tell me who was supposed to be there? And now you know. He may be a little slow. He may not be where he needed to be, but he's in the area. So with a concept, Gene is a great teacher. He talks about inches. We had a 1-minute drill with the last second field goal. Javari Ritzie got there and held his hand up and missed the block. Gene said that's inches from winning a championship. You got to get your hand up a little different. Put your hand on the ball. You head it up. So just little bitty things like that he is teaching and doing such a great job of. And I see Jack McNeil the same way. Every minute detail and step. So those two are really doing a good job of helping us on both sides of the ball. And then you take it without saying, but you get a Special Forces war hero from Air Force. He's going to be disciplined. I mean, and they're afraid of him. So they love him, but they don't want him to go off. But he's they're both doing a great job of teaching, and I think it's rubbing off on some of our other coaches as well.
What do you like that you've seen so far from the various special teams units, and what are still some concerns that linger?
We Noah Burnett and Jonathan Kim are competing every kick, and the one that makes the most kicks is kicking. We don't care. Cole Maynard and Ben Kiernan are punting every punt, and we're demanding that it be 4-second hang time. We're demanding it be 40-plus yards, and we're demanding it be on the numbers or into the boundary. And we're putting the one out there to punt that does that, more than not. So there's a tremendous amount of competition in those groups, because that's a group that maybe has 1 to 3 to 5 functions a game, and they can't be 2 out of 5. They got to be 100%, so they got to be automatic. And I think they're feeling that with the competitive pressure in practice.
What about with the return guys? And also, is there a measure of security with having Drew in there snapping? He's so experienced and been there 4 years now.
So good. We'll really miss Drew when he leaves. I'd never put a snapper on scholarship before he got here as a high school player. I'd always made him earn it. And when Larry already offered him, I said, I don't know. We don't even mention Drew. That's a good thing. If you don't know who the snapper is, that's a good thing. If he's getting a lot of attention, it ain't good, brother.
He has
return guys.
Make sure I get them right, Jeremy, because I don't have the list in front of me. Josh is obviously the #1 punt returner. You've got Andre Green back there. You've got George Pettaway back there. And I think those are the most.
Doc Chapman, is he back there at all?
Doc's back there some. Josh is going to do it. And then we got to figure out which one's going to be. So it'd be Doc, it would be George, it would be Andre Green, and Josh. I'm thinking there's one more.
Dante Balfour.
Dante. That's your 5. And then pretty much the same guys on kickoff. We don't have Josh on kickoff. Probably should. But you don't get to return many kickoffs anymore with a great kicker. One of the things you have to start doing is you look at the other team, and if their guy can kick it out, don't waste a lot of time during the week. You work on sky kicks and you work on squibs. If it's a short kick and they don't cover very well, then you can start working on your returns. But don't waste time, because Jonathan Kim's going to kick the large majority. He's kicked every ball out of the end zone that we've had him kick off. So maybe wind, maybe rain, maybe we want a sky kick or something, but normally our guys covering aren't going to have a return against it. So kickoff's different right now than it's ever been because of the rules. The other rule that came up, we met with the officials for 2 hours after Saturday scrimmage. And there's a new rule that's really going to change the game, and we didn't talk about it much because I didn't understand the way they were going to call it. And it's no blocking below the waist. So basically, if Josh Downs is in the slot and you've got a linebacker on his head, he can't cut anymore because it's out of the tackle box. So it changes your concepts with perimeter blocking. You have to do it with more tight ends. You have to recruit taller, bigger receivers. And even your offensive linemen, even if you're in the box, you can't cut unless it's straight on. So if an outside linebacker is slanting inside, your offensive lineman has to be his hip or above. So there is no more cutting at all. Even for a running back on sprint out. If you've got George Pettaway blocking Des Evans, he has to stay up and block him because it's out of the tackle box. He can't cut him. So it's the biggest advantage I've ever seen for the defense. It's a huge advantage, and it will make Dre and Charlton coach it differently because now they can go attack up here. They have no worry about being cut. Now what you may see is if I block Ross up high and they said this is legal, I won't touch you, Ross. If I block Ross up high and then the ball bounces outside and I'm Josh Downs and Ross is getting away, I can slip down after I've had contact up high. I just can't cut. So that's going to be a really hard call for an official to try to see it. And I really worry about that. Same thing with a center. If he's on a 3 technique, I can block Andrew up high, and as he's going away from me, I can slide down. Well, if the referee looks back in and sees you cutting, it's a tough one. That's one that everybody's going to have to deal with that we've never dealt with before.
Do you think that's a good rule?
With Antoine Green out, who do you foresee being the guys that are going to have to build chemistry with the quarterbacks? Is it going to be an issue building up the quarterback's confidence, knowing that a senior veteran leader on that offense now?
Yeah, you'd rather have him than not, but we're not going to make excuses. And injuries happen. Could have happened in the first quarter of the first game. So you've got J.J. Jones, you've got Dre Green, you've got Gavin Blackwell, you've got Kobe Payseur, you've got Doc Chapman. Who am I missing, Jeremy? Is there anybody else? Justin Olson. So you got 6 or 8. We've got to make sure that we get them enough work to get them in shape and not get them so much running because they're thinner that they get dead legs.
So it's not going to be an issue building confidence for the quarterbacks?
I don't think so. We've also got young quarterbacks. It's not like these guys have been throwing to a guy for 3 years. They don't have their guy other than Josh. Josh had he overcame a 3rd and 18 with a seam down the middle where our safeties didn't play it well on Saturday. And then he caught another seam in the middle and outran everybody for about a 30-yard touchdown. So and then we said, come here.
What was his name again?
Yeah, we got to go get water.
Mack, do you think that blocking rule is a good rule, good change?
I don't. I understand it's like targeting. I understand why they put it in for safety with knees, and especially with tight ends crossing the formation and cutting a guy. They don't want him cut on the side. I got all that. But I'm worried about Josh Downs and George Pettaway now with their head. It's changed their ability to play in the slot. I mean, it's just changed everything. And we didn't think they were going to call it like that until yesterday, and it really woke us up. So it's a difference.
Is there someone on offense and on defense who stood out to you and you're like, wow, it's very surprising that you're surprised about after the first couple of weeks of camp? One for each.
Yeah, I would say the 2 freshman backs. Okay. They were explosive on Saturday. And I was surprised that they looked that good that early. Both of them jumped out. Omarion made a couple of runs. He bounced out. He was real fast. But not to compare them to these 2 yet, but the flares, the speed plays that George Pettaway can make, the power plays that Omarion can make. I mean, he's 220 pounds, runs 4.4, gets downhill. He's loaded. So those 2 for sure. Andre Green would be the other one. Those 3, Andre made a catch like this the other day in pre-practice. I said, yeah, good. That's what we want. Defensively, young guys, you'd have to think Noah Taylor has made plays. In fact, Dez is rushing the passer better, Dez Evans. Koman Rucker's done a good job rushing the passer. Seems like I'm missing one. Since I don't have my list in front of me, but those three for sure, because we're working on pass rushers. Javari Ritzy's so quick. He's playing power end and inside, and he's just so quick. He's hard to block. Power Eccles is a machine. I mean, he just loves to play. He's a little undersized, but he plays all over the field every play. We've been impressed with Marcus Allen, the young corner from Walton in Atlanta. He's older. His dad was a captain of the basketball team at West Point. His mom's a Columbia graduate. He looks like he's older. He's just out there playing. And Will Hardy is his dad's high school coach and a very successful one. So both those guys have played older than they are when they first got here. Corey Gaynor has brought confidence, older and toughness to that offensive line. We think Spencer Rollam will be a good player. He's having to adjust to a faster pass rush than he's used to. So he's had a couple of those where he says, yeah, they're faster. But he's getting better with what we do. Jeremy, is there anybody I'm missing?
Probably a few.
Yeah, that's good.
What else? Coach, you talked about Marion Hampton just a minute ago. I know you said you wanted to get your running backs to 3. Is he in that 3 right now, or is he still got some work to do?
Charlie, it's one reason we haven't said anything yet, and we're still separating, because the one thing you have to be careful with a freshman is he has a great practice, and then he comes out and he's flat for the next 2 because he's not used to competing at that high level. So you don't want to anoint one and then him step back and have 2 bad practices. So we feel like we're 20 days out still. That's a long time till game time. So we feel like what we will do is we'll watch these guys through it at least another week and a half probably. And 10 days before game time, we'll probably start making decisions on who can play and who can't. So camp's long, and these guys have never been through a camp like this, so we want to see what they do. But he has definitely got the attention of everybody that's out there watching.
Do you feel better about the receiver depth than maybe you were expected to at this point, given how camp's gone?
No, I did until Saturday, and with Antoine getting hurt, that hurts us because he's older and he's coaching. And like I said, he was in the meeting this morning, so he'll be back. He's passionate about it. But you've just got a lot of inexperience out there. Most of those guys I talked about haven't played in games that mattered. You know, so you've got Josh and a whole bunch of young ones trying to learn, and that's the thing about our team. It's people get mad when you say it's young. You don't even have to say young anymore. You say inexperienced, and I think that's who we are. And then you look, Andre Green's out there working by himself, and Omari and Hampton, those 2 guys stayed out after practice, and they're working by themselves to try to get better. So that's just nobody out here with them.
Phil's out there.
Is Phil with them?
Yeah.
Phil's over there with them? Yeah. Maybe he made it.
Hard to see.
Yeah.
He's in camp with stuff. Mack, you've talked with us openly, regularly, where you said you did a bad coaching job last year. I mean, that's sort of something you said to us a lot. You know, just outside of the X's and O's and the late not finishing games and things like that, like what sort of feelings since last season ended have led you to say that about yourself, that you didn't do a good coaching job? What sits with you, and what has led you to say that?
If you had a good enough players to beat Virginia and Miami and Wake Forest, and you had the game at State won and didn't finish it, and your first and goal from the 2 at Pitt against the conference champ and didn't finish it, to me that's coaching. I mean, as a younger coach, I wouldn't say that. I'd blame players probably. But I've been around long enough, we need to do a better job than that. And I've told our coaches that. When you beat Virginia and you go to Georgia Tech and have 3 turnovers in the first quarter, you can't do that. A really good, well-coached football team plays hard every week. That's what I pride myself on. We didn't. We played up and down. Now, a lot of kids played hard, but your team didn't play hard, and that's my responsibility. And I've been more open with the coaches about that than you all. And I've told them this is unacceptable and we're not going to do it anymore. And that's why I'm out here every minute pressing everybody to wake up and get back to where we were the second year. Second year's team was really good. I bet it's raining on that side.
What's that sound?
Yeah. But the first team was good and played up and down a little bit. The second year we had it where we played good. We didn't win a tight one at Florida State. We didn't win a tight one at Virginia. But we were in both of those games. They're both hard places to play on the road. And then we lose to Notre Dame, and we lose to A&M. But those were great teams too. They were both top 5 teams. So that team got it, and they had a chance to win every week. And now here we are. Last year, I thought they wanted to be that team and didn't put all the work in. And that's why this team is working. And that's why we're saying, if you didn't practice well, you're out. You go down, period. Second team, no excuses. The guy in the sky don't lie. Here's what we've got. You're moving down.
Is that a tough emotion to process at all? I mean, I'm not trying to talk you into it, but you're a Hall of Famer. Is that a difficult thing to be like, I didn't do a good job?
Yeah, I think it's a lot easier because I've done a good job before. And when and really, this is a results business. Period. And if you win 6 games, you haven't done a good job. That's not acceptable to me. I hold myself more accountable than that. People can say, well, fans got mad at you. I said, me too. And I didn't like it. I didn't have fun. It wasn't near as much fun when you don't know which team's going to show up. And that's why we're demanding they practice hard every day. And they did it 15 days in the spring, and they've done it 8 or 9. Was this 9?
Practice 8.
Is this 8? This is 9. Yeah. So they've done it every day, and we just got to keep them doing it.
Is there a particular reason you closed practice to the media today?
Yeah.
It was open for so long.
Yeah, I really think we're not far enough along for you to come out here and it puts pressure on you to say, well, he's the starting left guard. He's not. And he took over at running back. He didn't, because we're still making all those decisions. So I feel like we treat you all better than anybody in the country. And you've already been out here twice. Most people don't even let you come. But since we offered you a third one and we held it back, you pout. And I got that. And then start trying to figure out why'd they do this. There's got to be something wrong. It's really not. I want to get more settled. And I'm looking for a day where you all can get a fair look at what we're going to look like on opening day instead of being all over the place, because we are all over the place. We have not made enough decisions for you to come out here and get a proper analogy of who our team is yet, because we don't even know, but we're 20 days out. So I'm looking for a better day for that for you all. What else?
That's good.
It's good.
We good?
We're good.
Thank you.